Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. In this video we're going to be looking at the Miyoo A30, or is it Miyoo A30? Who knows? Let's have a look nonetheless. Okay, unusually this doesn't actually come with a box. It came complete with this lovely case, which obviously the handheld is inside. So let's open it up and have a look. The case is really quite cool. Inside the case there is a charge cable, your usual stuff, and interestingly enough there is some sort of a headphone adapter. I'm sure it looks like a USB-C headphone adapter. I guess that's so in case you want to use headphones with this. Now you've got the actual unit inside the pack. There is also an instruction manual, sometimes worth looking at. In this case probably absolutely not, it's useless. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the handheld before we play through some games. So let's have a look at this. It's definitely one of the best looking sort of handhelds I've seen recently. It is very nice. They've definitely nailed the design. It comes in a few different colours as well. I think I preferred this one the most. See, it actually even has a thumbstick at the bottom. It is quite almost flush, just obviously sticking up a little bit. It seems okay though. You're not going to be using that for an awful lot of games. You're most likely going to be using the D-pad, and the D-pad seems okay. It's pretty reasonable. Nothing amazing. Nice buttons as well. They are quite soft feeling, and you've got your start and select at the front there, and a single front facing speaker as well. You've got a 64 gig memory card at the bottom. It's your usual standard memory card. You may need to swap that out if you want. You've got your shoulder buttons either side, and they are nice and soft as well. You've got your volume up and down button. You've got your charging USB-C slot at the top, or headphone jack I guess if you want to use that. This is a function button which you can use to access save states and obviously Retar in the back end, that type of thing, and different options. You've got your on off switch at the side here, and I said you've got a single speaker. It's not stereo, it's just a single mono speaker, although the sound is pretty decent for what it is. Nothing else on the back. That is basically it. So yeah, let's have a little comparison to a couple other handhelds so you can get an idea of the actual size. So the most obvious one that I could think of that this was similar to was the Pocket Go, but I'm not really sure this is readily available anymore. You can see the design is pretty similar, although the Pocket Go is missing an analog stick at the side here. Although the Pocket Go really can only play up to PlayStation 1, but this was pretty good for the cache. So it only has one shoulder button either side, but this was really nice. It is quite light. It probably is a little bit lighter than the Miyoo, just a little bit, and you see obviously thickness wise the Miyoo is a lot thicker as well. But the Pocket Go is pretty cool for what it is, but I think you can actually pick these up. You can probably find these on eBay, no problem, but I don't think they're readily available anymore. But this is a pretty nice handheld. It was about 30 to 40 pounds if I recall. The Miyoo, I think you can pick up. I picked it up for about 40 pounds. Probably I wouldn't want to pay too much more than that though. I think you can buy it at 50, 60 pounds depending where you purchase from. I've seen it on Amazon for about 60 quid, but I'm not sure you want to be paying that for this type of thing. So quick comparison to Miyoo's other sort of handheld. This is the Miyoo Mini. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the actual Miyoo A30, but this Miyoo Mini was absolutely fantastic. Let's hope the A30 lives up to the same sort of standards as this. This was excellent. Now also we had the Miyoo Mini Plus. Now, as you can see, the Miyoo Mini Plus is probably slightly smaller in size, obviously width wise, but obviously it's far more bulkier than the A30, and this is a fantastic machine as well. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at the A30 in action. Okay guys, in true fashion, I forgot to charge this unit last night playing the Miyoo. Obviously run out of charge. Now it does say you get up to about 5 hours sort of run time on the 26 milliamp battery, although I'm not really sure that's what I got. I think it was considerably less, probably about 3 to 4 perhaps. It's got 520 megabyte RAM. This is a 2.8 inch IPS display, 640 by 480 resolution, and it's got a quad core processor at 1.2 gigahertz. So it's a reasonably powered device for what it is, although it won't be playing much of the higher end stuff. I guess after PS1 it will be a little bit hit and miss, I think, just like the Pocket Go. Okay guys, so the first thing probably I need to do is change the theming of this unit. This is what the theme was when I turned it on, and it really isn't the best at all. There's some spelling mistakes, there's all sorts of crazy stuff at the top. You've got arcade completely spelt wrong there, but there's no actually indication of the battery. I think it's supposed to be up here, but I can't tell obviously how much is left in the battery. So the best thing to do first off is go straight to the settings and choose from one of the different themes that's in here. Now there is lots of different themings. Now this is obviously the default. There is absolutely tons of them. Now I've had a look at some of these, the Castlevania, Cyberpunk, but they are pretty messy. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I couldn't actually find one that made sense for me to actually use, so I'll have to probably just pick something a little bit random. Now, like I said, this is the default firmware that's included, and it's probably not the best. It's got some issues, so I'm pretty sure if you buy this, you may want to switch this out and upgrade to a better firmware. I'm sure there are a lot of better options out there. But anyway, without that, let's have a look at some of the game performance. There's a few different folders here. I said you've broken it down to sort of different sort of consoles and stuff that you can actually play. Interestingly enough, it's got N64 games in here and PSP games. Obviously this unit really isn't massively powerful to play some of that stuff, but we'll have a look anyway and see how it performs. You got some Dreamcast stuff. There's not that many games in here. I'd say there's probably a few thousand. I guess that seems a lot anyway, but compared to a lot of other devices it is probably a little bit less than usual. Most of the stuff you'll find is probably in the NES and SNES folders. There's not a lot outside that. There's a lot of Game Boy Advance titles, for example, in there, and some repetitive games as well throughout it. The folder structure is absolutely bizarre, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now inside this default thing, it does default to some of the wrong emulators, which is a bit of a pain. If you want to change the emulator that it's defaulted to, you can, I think it's the X button at the top, and you got a choice between the emulators. For example, in this one you get Genesis Plus GX or Pico Driver. If you're playing Mega Drive games, I would probably choose Pico Driver, because the other one struggled to play Sonic 1 without a little bit of sort of music juddering all over the place. But yeah, that is it. So that's a little tip there, but just bear that in mind. Although there is another way to look at them. If you get into the RetroArch folder, it is broke down into different emulators. As you can see here, you get Genesis and the Pico Drive folder there. All the same games are in the same folder, or each of the folders, sorry, and I don't know, it's a little bit of a mess. Obviously it's up to you how you play your games, where you choose them from, but some of these folders are absolutely empty. Obviously this is Game Gear, there's nothing in it, a little bit strange. And there's quite a few folders like that have absolutely nothing in it. So there's different ways to look at it. It really is up to you how you want to choose to play your games. And as I said, there's spelling mistakes on arcade. There's a search there if you want to search for games by pressing the function button at the top. If you add any games to the memory card, just go up here, refresh ROMs, it will add it automatically for you. But that's really about it. There's not an awful lot of different settings here. Now, one thing that I definitely noticed is that this firmware that's included is pretty sluggish. Some games take quite a while to actually load, which is kind of surprising. Usually a lot of these handhelds are quite nifty regardless of how fast they are running, but in this case it takes a few moments to actually start the game. Now, interestingly, the start and select button is probably round the wrong way. I would say most handhelds it's select and start in that way, but it's the other way about. A little bit confusing. Certainly it does feel nice in the hand. The D-pad absolutely fine, and the buttons all work perfectly well. And the emulation's not too bad for this. You just might find some stuttering here and there in some of the games. The performance for this game is pretty good. So you can actually access RetroArch by pressing the function button at the top here, and you can obviously access save states and that type of thing. Now it does differ depending on which console you're playing. You might have to choose a different option to jump into RetroArch, but it does differ just a little bit. But it's quite cool that you've got access to all the RetroArch options. You can change anything that you see fit as well, like different cores, different shaders, that type of thing. So you can actually zip through the files. This is NES we're looking at. You can just press the shoulder button up here if you want to zip through them, have a look at it. Obviously, as I said, you can search for maybe your favourite game. There are quite a lot of NES games here. So you're most likely not going to see any issues playing these type of games. But obviously it was a bit surprising when I did have issues playing the Mega Drive games, but it was just playing the alternative emulator, which isn't particularly great. So just keep that in mind for Mega Drive titles. But yeah, pretty cool. So let's have a look at Game Boy next. We'll just choose a title that we can jump into. This is obviously The Legend of Zelda. Now, interestingly, it does keep the original sort of green screen. You can change that if you want to. So let's have a look at Game Boy Advance games now. The aspect ratio should suit these games a lot better than some other devices we've played recently. Certainly the D-pad seems absolutely fine, sort of reaching some of those awkward diagonals. It's very responsive, and as you can hear, it sounds really good as well. So trying a little bit of Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo. The D-pad seems pretty decent, to be honest. Able to pull off some of these moves with not too much difficulty. Yep, absolutely fine. You can actually use the thumbstick as well, which is pretty cool. So trying a little bit of Sonic 1 on Pico Drive. As I said, do not use the other emulator, it doesn't work that great at all. It's struggled to play Sonic. It does have quite a lot of different stuff on here. You've got Neo Geo Pocket, you've got a few different arcade games as well, though there are a lot of empty folders here. I guess this is for some of the ports and stuff. Not entirely sure what that's all about. A little bit messy. There's no doubt about it that the included firmware with the unit is not great at all. It is an absolute mess. Probably needs a little bit of tidying up, and I would definitely recommend having a look at the different firmware options out there for this, and it would certainly make a massive improvement. So obviously for those empty folders you can add your own games into that if you like, but out the box it probably is not that impressive. It's not well set up, that's for sure. And we've also got some PlayStation 1 games, so let's have a look at some PlayStation games and the performance of that. Interesting, as I said, there Pico 8 games, there's none. So let's have a quick look at Tekken 3 on PlayStation. And I think this unit is certainly perfectly fine playing anything up to PlayStation. After that, then it probably will be a little bit hit and miss. So see, absolutely no problems with that. Okay, before we jump into the sort of Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 PSP stuff, obviously you can create some favourites if you want to quickly access your favourite games. There are some apps in here as well, but I'm not really entirely sure what's going on here. I'd probably recommend staying away from that. But really, what you're going to be concentrating most in is the game folder. And to access the Dreamcast folder, you need to go into this game folder here. Let's have a look at something. Now, you will probably find there's not an awful lot of games here. You'll probably find that Dreamcast will be a little bit hit and miss. There's definitely nothing wrong with the sound of this unit. It does do a really good job on that single speaker. Yeah, unsurprisingly, there is a little bit of breakup with the sound playing this game. Not totally surprised. There's no way it's going to be able to play a lot of these games at full speed. Okay, in some of the emulators you will find that you'll have a slightly different menu when you press the function button. To access Retar, you just go through the native menu option there. You've got a few different options. You get your save states, load and continue, and obviously you can exit game.
It's party time, let's have some fun. Crazy time, it's party time. Alright, let's go make some crazy money. Let's go! Yeah, I got it.
You can hear the more things that are happening, the worse it does seem to perform. Almost unplayable. You could turn off the music right enough, that might help. Okay, moving on to Nintendo 64 games. There's not an awful lot of games included here, but it's not really surprising because it probably won't be able to play a lot of these games very well. Not really sure what Mario Racing Car is, but anyway, let's have a look at the most obvious one. Let's have a look at Super Mario. I guess this is what the thumbstick is included for, to play Nintendo 64 Dreamcast games, and you can use it for some other titles as well. But I think it's more comfortable to use the D-pad for most games. So the thumbstick actually seems alright, not too bad at all. It does feel very much like a Nintendo Switch D-pad. Interestingly, the performance actually seems pretty decent. I don't see any glitching in the graphics either, which is pretty surprising. So definitely seen some issues with the thumbstick. They're just sometimes the characters stopping when I obviously was still pushing forward, so a little bit strange. Performance not quite perfect. The actual emulation isn't too bad at all. It seems to be playing this a lot better than I thought it would. Although I probably would say that most likely it won't play all Nintendo 64 games as good as this one. I'd be really surprised if it did. Okay, moving on to PlayStation portable games, let's have a quick look at something in here. Now, I'd be pretty surprised if it plays all of these that well. Interesting, you've got the frame per second at the top there. I'd be really shocked if it does manage the full 60 throughout the game. You can see the frames per second is certainly dropping down quite a lot. And you can hear it obviously with the speech. Yeah, it's definitely struggling. So you can jump into the settings, the sort of PSP settings. You can maybe put the frame skip on, which I guess would be the best way. Interestingly, it's not the function button that I'm accessing, that is the sort of L2 button at the top here, which is a little bit weird. Not entirely sure what that's all about, but it is there. I would certainly recommend putting on frame skip. Actually, you can see it is off here, so put it on to auto frame skip. That might actually improve things a little bit. 3, 2, 1, go! Not bad. Don't let your guard down. Yeah, it's definitely improving it a little bit. It doesn't sound anywhere as bad as it was on full speed. Definitely starting to stutter even still with frame skip on. So not quite perfect, is it? It's way short what you would probably expect on higher end devices. There you are. Okay guys, so my final thoughts on the Miyoo A30. It's not too bad. I think the performance was a little bit all over the place, and the sort of stock firmware with it is pretty poor. So I think if you do get it, you probably want to invest some time in trying to upgrade it to some better firmware, because out the box it is really badly set up. It is a little bit of a mess. But I guess if you're willing to spend some time with it and don't mind that, then it's not too bad. Performance after PlayStation is a little bit all over the place. Some good, some bad, and I really don't think it's powerful enough to be playing Dreamcast, N64 and PSP stuff. But anything up to that would be absolutely fine, and it is a nice size. It will fit in your pocket really well. Although I definitely think if you're going to be investing, you might be better off with the Miu Mini or the Miu Mini Plus. That is just my opinion. But if you can pick this one up for maybe a little bit cheaper, maybe $30–40, it might not be a bad investment, but just don't expect the world from it. You might need to spend a little bit of time to try and get the best out of it. But it is a really nice looking sort of device, but I think they really need to put a little bit more effort into that. I'm not sure why you would include sort of games on N64 that clearly this is not designed for, or even powerful enough to play. But anyway, not bad, just not amazing. So guys, if you've got one, let me know what you think of it, and thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.